Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action packed session. Today, we're going to talk about buying houses using other people's money. So, if you've been struggling to get started in real estate because you don't have tons of cash, perfect credit, this is a great session for you to watch, stay locked into, stick to the end, because we're going to give you some good tips and tricks on how to invest without cash or perfect credit. And we're going to talk about marketing, finding motivated sellers, like the whole thing, so that you can put a whole play together and go out and get your first deal, get a rental property, and start building cash flow for you and your family. If you're new to the platform, like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment that says I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to one of my free real estate trainings. It's going to show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. Guys, if you're interested in any of our programs, our Boots on the Ground program, we find properties, finance them, rehab them, tenant, and manage them for you. If you're interested in that program, just DM me Boots on the Ground, or text me or email me Boots on the Ground, and we'll talk to you about that program. Extremely limited access into that program. We only have one spot available. We had two, somebody signed up. We have one spot available right now, and then everybody gets waitlisted. So if you're interested in claiming that seat in the Boots on the Ground program, reach out. We have the Real Estate Ride Along Tour, where you spend the day with me in Philly, touring properties. We're going to see about 10 to 15 full gut rehabs. Reach out and DM me Ride Along and get your ticket. We only have 2 seats left, and it's sold out. So that one sold out extremely fast. So reach out for that one. And then if you just want like our DIY course content, you can click the links in the description. You can tap into those courses. It's going to teach you how I scaled to 300 properties in about 5 to 7 years. My biggest year, I did 153 acquisitions in 1 year, in less than 1 year. So you can learn about that and how to replicate it and have your own success. All right, so let's get into this thing. I want to keep this tight. In terms of mindset, whenever you're dealing with creative financing, the mindset is always there's only 2 things in real estate: money and knowledge. The less you have of one, the more you need of the other. So if you're just getting started and you're struggling to get in because you're like, I don't have enough money, a lot of people are there. I was there. But my mindset was always locked in on knowledge. Like when I didn't have the capital, when I first started this game, I was making less than $30,000 easy a year, like way less. So I was starting off at the bottom and I was just stacking up my money, but my main focus was on knowledge. I was like, man, I got to learn this game at a very deep level because I can't afford to make big mistakes. And I did make a mistake on my first deal. I got burned for 40, 50,000 by a GC on my very first deal. Almost set me back to the point where I was out of the game. But there's 2 things in this game. There's knowledge and there's money. The less you have of one, the more you need of the other. So if you're starting off with very little cash, you need more knowledge. You need knowledge, one, because you can't afford to make mistakes, but 2, because the knowledge is going to show you how to invest in real estate with less capital. So if you only have 10,000, 15,000, 5,000, 2,500, you need more knowledge than somebody who has a quarter million, half a million in a HELOC, in a home equity line of credit. They can make more mistakes. They can gamble a little bit more. They can test the market a little bit more than you. You need that knowledge first. The first thing to invest in is you and your knowledge. Once you get more knowledgeable, you will know how to go out and find profitable deals. And when you can find profitable deals, you can use other people's money to fund those deals. If you have no knowledge, you're not necessarily going to be able to go out and use OPM, not like a pro. You're not going to use other people's money. So this is only going to work with you to the extent that you become more knowledgeable about this process. Once again, if you have a ton of capital, you can just kind of throw that money against a wall and you'll learn as you go. But knowledge is the key with this real estate game. And as you continue to accelerate, it's only going to be based upon how knowledgeable you are. That's going to be your ceiling in this game. I've had people who got in this game before me, but they weren't focused on knowledge. They were just trying to run fast. And I leapfrogged them in the level of deals that I was able to do in a given year and the amount of a portfolio that I was able to acquire within the same period of time, within the same year or 2 years. I was just able to do way more deals because my knowledge was accelerating faster than them. I was building bigger teams than them. I was putting together better systems than them. So definitely stay locked into this. Guys, if you have questions, drop them in the chat section, drop them in the comment section. Let's start to flow through this thing. And if you want to get access to any of those programs, click the links in the description. Share the content with somebody else you want to get value as well. Let's get into this thing. So what do we need to focus on with OPM? One, there are different forms of OPM. I'm going to give you 7 forms of OPM. There's definitely more, but these are the big 7. But when you're dealing with other people's money, sometimes people just think that means getting a private lender, somebody who's just sitting on the sidelines and they have some money and I'm going to get my hands on that money. And that's OPM. That's not the only OPM. OPM is just anybody's money that ain't yours, right? So let's talk about the different forms of OPM, because you need to have your mind open to what is available to you. As you become more knowledgeable, you can tap into any one of these resources. Number one is the bank. The bank is OPM at its finest. People take their money, they deposit it into the bank. And if you need money for real estate, you can typically go to the bank for deals 1 through 4. I say 1 through 4 because once you get past 4, it typically will blow up anybody's debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio is going to be completely wiped out at that point. So the bank is going to cut you off. And this is where most people find me. They started real estate. Maybe they've done a deal or two. They got their first house. They got a vacation home, or they tried to get a short-term rental. And now they're like, Brian, the bank just declined me. They told me no. They said it's my debt to income ratio. How did you go out and do 100 deals in a year? Well, the bank is there for those early deals, those easy wins, that FHA loan, when you're trying to put down 3.5% and get a big multifamily property. You go to the bank. You go to Bank of America. You go to any big bank who offers FHA loans, because they're going to give you good rates. They have tons of capital, and that money is cheap, believe it or not. Some people don't understand this, but sometimes the bank, like Bank of America's money, is cheaper than private money, because the private money lender, they want a private return. They want a personal return on this capital. So not all forms of OPM cost the same, which is why you need to know what all these forms are, where to find them, how to source them, and then how to utilize them and when. So the bank you can go to for deals 1 through 4, typically, and then your debt to income ratio is going to get out of whack. Number 2 is hard money. Hard money, that's when you're getting more into the BRRRR strategy, when you're learning more about renovation and value adding properties. So your education is going to the next level. You now have unlocked hard money. Hard money loans, they're going to typically lend you up to 100% of the capital to do deals, up to 65% of the after repair value. So if a property would be worth $100,000 after you finish fixing it up, the lender will give you up to $65,000 to do that deal. And there are plenty of deals out there that fit that bucket. But this is just going to be the hard money lender pretty much has a warehouse line of credit from a bigger lender who is giving it to them to then lend out to you, because they believe that the hard money lender has the ability to underwrite. So this is just borrowing money from somebody who's borrowed money from somebody who's borrowed money. It's like super OPM. I mean, at the end of the day, that money belongs to somebody's 401k. If you trace it back far enough, you'll be at like a big bank like JP Morgan and somebody's 401k. So that's another form of OPM. Next, you do have private money. Private money would be anybody you know with a old IRA, an old 401k, some type of retirement account. They might have capital, cash in the bank. Just anybody with capital who's looking for a rate of return. Hard money rates are pretty much 3% upfront. So on a $100,000 loan, they're going to charge you $3,000, and then they want 12% interest. So the origination fee, the upfront money, $3,000. Then they want like 12% interest. So on a $100,000 loan, that would be $3,000 upfront and then $1,000 a month, 12% annual interest. Private money you can typically get for like the sweet spot is less than double digits. Most people will lend you money if you're going to offer them double digit returns. If you offer somebody, hey, I'll get you 15% on your money, they're probably going to offer you the money at the end of the day, if they're not doing anything with it and it's not collecting interest, because it's extremely attractive. The sweet spot with private money is you want to negotiate somebody down to single digits, maybe 8-9%, because 9% in this game, if you're doing a BRRRR strategy, it's easy to cover. You can go out and do a deal with a nice cash on cash return and cover 9%. If you start offering people 15%, 20%, like I've seen all of these things, you're going to put yourself in a pressure cooker position. It's not that you can't outperform that, but you're just putting yourself between a rock and a hard place, is the best way to say it. You don't want to have that type of monkey on your back when you're just getting started, when you're just building your systems and you're trying to scale. It's too much interest and it makes the payment so high. Why would you pay a private money investor 20% or 15% when you could go to the bank or a hard money lender and get cheaper money? And this is what I mean. Sometimes people get caught up in OPM saying, oh, OPM, that's from like a private money lender. I got it from my friend and I'm using OPM, but then they're paying a higher rate than if they went to the bank or went to a hard money lender. That's hustling backwards. So don't get caught up in where the money is coming from in the sense of like, this means private money or this means OPM and this doesn't. It's all OPM if it ain't coming out of your bank account from money that you earn from like a W-2. It's all essentially OPM. Even a credit card can be OPM, and we'll get into that. But that'll give you a sense there. You want to do that private money. If you can get an 8-9%, you're in the sweet spot. You're going to be able to do very well with that money. The best part about private money is that you don't have to pay origination fees. So with the bank, you are paying 3% up front. You're paying for a private money loan, you're not paying any of that. For the bank, you're paying like 2%, 1% for origination. Hard money, 3% on average. Some are like 4%. With a private money lender, you're just paying the fee. So if you can get them down to 8-9% interest, you're now in a position where there's no origination. So if you can get in and out of a Burst Strategy deal 2 or 3 times in a year, which you can do, you can buy it, renovate it, refinance out almost every quarter. When you get good at this, almost every quarter, you can get deals to the finish line. If you're doing that in and out with private money and you're not paying origination, you can flip that money multiple times. And if you have it at that 8 or 9% interest rate, you're going to crush it. You're going to far outpace it. You could go and acquire, 5-6 properties in a year with somebody else's money. And then at the end of the year, hand them their money back, keep the properties. That's the game. And that is the goal with the strategy. Next, number 4, you have partnerships. Partnerships can be cool, but partnerships can be overrated. There are different forms of partnership money. One, you can get it in the form of like debt. So if somebody wants to get in on a deal, I would recommend structuring it as debt. It's just like, hey, you get this money back. It's secured by the property, by the asset. It's asset backed. So you'll get your money. We're building conservatively. That's better. If you raise the money and partner with somebody and they have equity in the deal, they're like a 50-50 partner, that can get a lot hairier, in my opinion, because a lot of partnerships will fail over the course of time. Sometimes partners get greedy. The problem with an equity partner is they're in your pocket now. So as the deal does better, they're taking 50% of the profits. That to me is not as good. I'd rather have a lender where if I do really good on this deal, I still just have a fixed percentage that I pay them. Hey, I'm just paying you the 8-9%, 10%, whatever that number is, and that's your money. If I do better on this deal or it appreciates, most of these properties, guys, that we're doing the Burst Strategy on, they're going to appreciate $50,000 to $100,000 if you hang on to them for 5-10 years. You would rather eat all of that appreciation than hand it over to somebody because you wanted to partner. So this is a thing like going back to the knowledge play. As you become more knowledgeable, you will need a partner less and less and less, to the point where you don't need a partner because you already have all the knowledge. You can just do it yourself. So it's better to seek out the knowledge, because you can, let's say if you tapped into my mentorship program, you're out of pocket a few grand, but you're going to learn what I learned scaling a 300 property portfolio in 5 to 7 years, doing millions of dollars of deals, and all my trials and tribulations, all the mistakes. You're going to learn all that. Now, if you partner with somebody to save on coming out of pocket a couple of grand to get the knowledge, you're now giving them 50% of all your profits in perpetuity. And the problem is you don't know what those profits are. So you can't put it apples to apples. But if I could show you what your reasonable profits would be, including tax write-offs, losses, appreciation, and cash flow, I'd be showing you $500,000 to $1 million over the course of the next 10 years. that you're splitting in half to save a couple grand. And that's why I look at people and I'm like, they're like, oh, I don't need that. Nah, I'm not going to get educated. I'm not getting in mentorship. And I'm just like, well, God bless. You're going to pay anyway. You're going to pay more trying to not get educated. I'm trying to help you, but you can't help everybody. And that's just part of the game. You can't help everybody because everybody can't see how much value they're being given or how much they're going to lose by going in a separate direction. You have to let hard-headed people learn the hard-headed way. Number 5 is seller financing. So there are going to be opportunities where you can just go to a seller. The seller owns the property. They already took out debt. So they have debt existing on the property. They have a mortgage. Well, what's that debt? That's other people's money. That's some bank's loan sitting there as debt. And you can acquire that. You can take over that debt and leverage that debt to control the property. We're going to talk about a strategy on how to do this next in the next slide. So definitely stick around to learn about that. But there's multiple ways to do seller financing. We teach that in our 100 Keys Masterclass course content, or do-it-yourself course. And it will break down to 6 core strategies. But we're going to talk about one next in great detail. But you can use seller financing to get deals, and you can do unlimited deals with seller financing as you become more knowledgeable. Seller financing is very intimidating as you're just getting started because you don't know enough. But as you become educated, this stuff is really simple. It never changes. So you can definitely master this no matter who you are. The next one is credit cards. So you guys have probably heard of those strategies. Go out, get a business card, go get a business credit card, Navy Fed. They're going to give you 50 grand. And then you can take that and do a cash deposit transfer of that money. And you can use that money to buy properties. I've never used credit cards personally to buy properties because I got straight in the hard money. By the time I started learning about credit cards, because I do what's called building a plane while you're flying it. Like we're just ramping up, scaling up, doing more deals, putting the plays together. By the time credit cards came around and people were really pushing that message, I looked at it, but I was just like, the hard money is better and it's infinite, because even the credit cards will have a limit to them that hard money far exceeds. You could build a relationship with a hard money lender or a private money lender where, you know, they're going to give you access to $10 million. You're not going to get a $10 million credit line. And some of these credit cards, if you don't know how they work, you might get the Amex. So I could rip it on the Amex, but you didn't know that was like a charge card essentially. So then you get your statement. Now your credit card utilization ratio is looking crazy. And I've seen a lot more people go with this credit card strategy. They hurt their credit score tremendously, to the point where they can barely refinance out of the deals. So I don't necessarily recommend or preach credit cards, but I have seen some people utilize them successfully. I'm not knocking anybody who teaches this as a strategy. I just think it's extremely risky for the average bear, especially if you're just getting started. There's like no guide rails on the credit card. There's no appraisals. There's no third parties validating the deal. So you could get into it and get beat over the head. And then you owe a lot of money. And these credit cards are extremely high interest rates after you get through those, 0% introductory rates. Lastly, we have micro loans. Nobody really talks about micro loans. I would go to the micro loan before I go to the credit card. The micro loan could be like a SoFi loan. It could be some of these lenders that came out. I will say, like, they really came out in 2011, between the 2011 and 2014. These micro lenders came out, and they would come out with these $5,000, $10,000 loans. You'll see a lot of these lenders got into the student loan debt consolidation space, but they'll offer you essentially a personal loan, 50 to 100,000 personal loan that you can apply for with various repayment terms, fully amortizing. That can be a good strategy to leverage more capital to then go in and do real estate deals. So I would actually look to the micro lenders as well. And not a lot of people look there, but that's a source where you could grab 100K and then connect with a hard money lender or some type of, additional lender that's going to give you, the playbook. So guys, I'll stop for a quick question or two, and then we're going to keep flowing into creative financing. Somebody said, what would hard money be? Couldn't that be 20%? Hard money is 3 points. So 3 origination points. So on a $100,000 loan, that would be 3,000, and then 12% interest, 1% a month of the loan. $200,000 loan, 12% interest, $2,000 a month. So it's pretty easy. Is the single family BRRRR strategy currently dead in Philly with the current rates and prices? No, the single family BRRRR strategy is not dead. I would say the single family BRRRR strategy is booming in Philly because rents went up. A lot of people don't know that, but rents inflated about 30 to 60% October 1st, 2023. So we're still in the early stages of that. They may go up again October of 2024. And we're not too far. We're shockingly, we're at like the midpoint, right? Between October and the next October. We're almost like 6 months in. So we're kind of at the halfway point where I would anticipate rents go up again. So some people start a deal in August, and by the time they finish the deal, the rent is higher than they even projected. And this is with me showing rates at 8%. Properties are still cash flowing $500 to $700 a month on the single family side, on average. They're not really getting far above that. Some you'll see at $900, $1,000 a month in Philly. But Philly is a top 10 cash flow city. It's number 7 on the top 10 cash flow cities. It's the largest of the top 10 cash flow cities. It's the most stable, in my opinion, of the top 10 cash flow cities. So it's a gold mine still. More people should be talking about Philly for cash flow. And this is why people are tapping into the Boots on the Ground program from places like California. And it didn't click to me until I started to think about it and what people were doing in this space. Like, people in California looking for cash flow. They'll look to Philly and say, wait, I could buy a property for 80, 90,000 in Philly. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I'll take a HELOC out and buy that cash. Their mindset is different. And because this game is getting to this level where, people are getting tapped in from overseas or across the country into local markets, these local markets are going to appreciate massively because you have people from extremely expensive markets that are 6 times, 7 times more expensive looking at places like Philly or the top 10 cash flow cities in the Northeast. So they're going to drive up values at least to, I would say, around 2x where these property prices are at now. So for the people who get into a place like Philly and buy in now, I've been telling people you're going to appreciate 80 to 100,000. And maybe people don't even believe that, but you're going to see it. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. You don't need to believe it for it to happen. That's the beautiful part about real estate. You don't even need to know it's going to happen for it to happen. You didn't need to know rents were going to inflate or believe rents were going to go up 30 to 60% for it to happen. It just did. And for the people who are in the game, you got that value. For the people who aren't, you didn't get it. And that's how the game goes. Last question I'll take quickly, and then we'll jump back into this creative financing. How long, Teresa said, how long do they give you to pay back a hard money loan? 13 months. You get 13 months to pay back a hard money loan. For private, going through this list, the bank is usually giving you long-term loans. Hard money, they give you 13-month loan. Private money, typically 2 years. Partnerships, indefinite. Hypothetically, you can structure it however you want. Seller financing is kind of indefinite. Credit cards, usually you can get like a max of an 18-month introductory rate, 0% rate. Micro loans, they can fully amortize. They'll go up to like 10 years. So let's get into the next level. And guys, if you have more questions, just drop them in the chat section, drop them in the comment section. We'll stop for quick questions. I want to keep this session as tight as possible. Next, we have lease purchase options. So this is like a seller financing strategy. So how a lease purchase option works is you want to control a property with a lease agreement and an option to buy it. So this is called creating equitable ownership with options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find some type of burnout landlord, somebody who's trying to rent a property out and it's just not renting. And I'm going to call them up and say, look, I see you're having trouble like renting the property. It looks like it's been on the market for a little while. Would you be open to a lease purchase option where I just kind of lease this property from you? And they're like, well, how much are you going to give me? Well, look, I know you got it for rent for $1,200. I can give you $1,000, but I'll take care of everything. If the sink breaks, toilet breaks, it's on me. Like, I'm taking care of everything. It's called a triple net lease, which means I'm responsible. So they're like, cool. Yeah, I'll take a little haircut for that. So, and or maybe you're paying $1,200, whatever that rent is. You're going to try to negotiate it below market so that you can reposition the deal. So I'm going to put the property on a lease. So now I control the property with that lease. I control it. I could rent it back out. I could do whatever I want according to the terms of the lease agreement. So then I'm going to have a separate standalone agreement that is going to be an option. And this is going to say, hey, I have the option to buy this property if I want to within the next 3 years or 2 years for $150K. So I have the option to buy, and I pay a option fee. That might be $5,000. That might be $2,000. That might be zero, depending on how I negotiate it and how desperate the motivated seller is, or the burnout landlord is. And then I'm going to get this deal under contract and then reposition it as a rent to own to somebody who has bad credit, no credit, but they have some cash. So they're like, hey, I just filed bankruptcy, but I'm looking for something I can rent to own. They can't get OPM. They can't go to the bank. They can't deal with the lenders because their credit is too bad. So they're a sitting duck. Now you're shooting fish in a barrel. So you're like, hey, I'm going to give you this property. Pay me $1,600 a month, $10,000 down, and you can buy it for $170. I got it for $1,200 a month, $5,000 down, and $150. So now I'm sitting in the middle of this deal, collecting the extra $400 a month. They're paying 16. I'm paying 12 to the previous owner. So I'm getting $400 a month in spread. They're fixing the property if something breaks, and they're going to exercise that option and buy it from me for $170. I give the old owner a $150. So I made $20,000 off the sale and $400 a month, and I didn't have to even deal with the banks. I'm just leveraging the property. I might have came into that deal with only $5,000 and a vision. Put my 5 down, go to the seller. The renter owner. I need 10 down for this. So they put down 10, gave me my 5 back. Now I'm up 5, and I'm getting $400 a month in cash flow. Another way to look at this, to try to make it sink in for you guys. And guys, we're on, if you're on the IG live, we're also on the YouTube live. If you click the link in my IG stories, you can tap into the full presentation on YouTube live and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Join the YouTube family. So for the lease purchase option, if you look at the breakdown, we'll lease the property for $1,200 a month. We're going to have an option to buy it at $150,000 if we choose to exercise that in 24 months. If we don't, we just don't buy the property. We could walk away after two years if we want to. We could take it, rent it out for a couple of years. That didn't work out. Get that person out of the property, just walk away from the deal. We don't have to deal with it. We could extend the lease. We have a lot of different options here. We're going to have an option fee of $5,000, non-refundable. And then we're going to have rent credits of $200 a month. So that means every month that I make that $1,200 payment to the burnout landlord, 200 of that goes towards a pay down of that $150,000 that I have to buy the property for. So I'm building equity as well as I'm doing this lease purchase option. In that equity is something called equitable ownership. So if you structure a deal where you build equity in it, you will develop equitable ownership. And equitable ownership gives you a form of control. It's called controlling property without ownership. And that is a big part of what creative financing is. A big part of creative financing. This is not magic. This is not, they're saying you can do deals with no cash, no credit, and it's just magic. And it's complete nonsense. It's not. It's real. But there are ways to structure these deals that you need to learn. And you need an expert level of knowledge of how closings happen, how deals transfer, what equitable ownership is, how properties are controlled. You need to understand at that level to be able to see the opportunity that's right in front of you and then go out and structure deals, to have that confidence. And most people won't develop that confidence because they're stuck at step one. They either believe because they don't understand it now, it's therefore not real, which is not true, or that it's overly difficult, which is not true, or that it just doesn't exist. By the way, I was one of those people. I was like, this is nonsense. I learned about this at a Robert Kiyosaki conference almost 20 years ago, like a Robert Kiyosaki conference. And I was like, this is nonsense. This ain't real. It wasn't until I got more advanced in the game that I realized, oh man, that went way over my head, like way over my head, and I should have been paying more attention. I didn't have the 30,000 they were trying to charge me to get into that course. For those of you who know the cost of my mentorship program, they were charging $30,000 for the Robert Kiyosaki course almost 15, 20 years ago. So the value we give you, to not only give you the value they were charging for, 30 G's for, but then other value, it's a complete steal. It's a complete steal, but not everybody understands that, and that's fine. Somebody said, which is better, Philly or Cleveland? To me, it's not that Cleveland's a bad opportunity. Cleveland is a good opportunity. More, if I talk to a lender, more lenders believe in Philly than Cleveland. So that is very important, because if the lenders don't believe in the market, then they're not going to loan you money to do as many deals. So you do need that buy-in at the higher levels. It doesn't even matter if your hard money lender believes in Cleveland. Who does your hard money lender get their money from? Because it ain't their money. Does that person believe in Cleveland? Does that group believe in Cleveland? I want to know if that group believes. If they believe, then I believe. And I'll go and build there. I'll build the cruise and I'll go build there. But Cleveland is not at that level yet, in my opinion. Philly is the right market. And I'm a low-hanging fruit investor, which is why I focus on educating you guys so much. I want you to be smart enough to take the low-hanging fruit that's right in front of you. And when Philly dries up, then we'll probably go to Baltimore. Then we'll go to Cleveland. To me, Baltimore is a little bit behind Philly, but it'll get there. It's another sister city. Then you go to Cleveland. Cleveland will still be there, in my opinion. It's not going anywhere. I've seen some big developers try to really crush Cleveland. They haven't been able to scale it. They don't know why, but I do. It's because the lenders don't believe in it. So when the lenders start talking about it, I'll start talking about it. But it is a top 10 cash flow city. So if you're going to do a one-off deal, if you're in an overpriced market and you want to grab a duplex for 80 grand, you can definitely do that in Cleveland. There's nothing wrong with it. But we're talking about scale. Like if you say, Brian, I want to do 50 deals in the next 3 years, and I want to do all 100% real estate, I'm done with this 9-to-5 thing, then I would say, let's look in a market where you can scale in, because Cleveland is going to be a slower scale because you can't get the money. You got to, in order to scale, you have to have the lenders standing behind you and bought into the mission. Mike said, if you're going to get into this game, the true winning bet is to get a mentor. It really is. It's to get a mentor, get access to some relationships, and just make it happen. How to negotiate with sellers to offer seller financing. Like, how do you do it? Yeah, how you do it is you learn the game. In order to negotiate with a seller, a motivated seller, you have to be able to educate them. If you're not educated, you can't educate anybody else not really knowing this game. So the first thing to do is educate yourself at a master level. Then you can go to one of these motivated sellers and you can educate them to the level. Like, you need to know it at a level where you can dumb it down. If you can know it at a high enough level to be able to dumb it down to layman's terms, you can make a motivated seller comfortable, because they've never heard of this stuff, just like many of you have never heard of it. So you have to take somebody who doesn't know and say, look, this is how it works. I'm going to give you $5,000. I'm going to pay you $1,200 a month. Anything breaks, it's on. You have to walk them through very slow. And once you get good at that, they're going to be like, okay, this makes sense. This is in my best interest. I understand. And once they understand, they can execute. So you have to make that happen. Abdul says the credit card dance needs to be studied. Seems like a remedy to lose. Yeah, you could definitely lose a lot of money, in my opinion, with the credit card strategy. You could lose a lot of money in real estate. You could make a lot of money in real estate. It's an investment at the end of the day. There's always going to be a risk reward profile. Always. You can put guide rails on it, but you could lose money. You have to understand that about real estate investing. You're an investor. You will be rewarded on wins. And if you stick in the game, you're going to have some losses, some setbacks, but your wins will be so big if you stick with it and continue to accelerate and get better, that they will so beyond, exceed your losses that it will be laughable. Some of you, you'll be like, man, I was really worried about that 25K loss over there. I was stressing it. And then I did this deal, I made 150. what was I even stressing over? I'm glad I stuck in this game. But you have to stick with it to get to that point in time. Let's get into the last session, and then we'll put a bow on this thing. Finding motivated sellers. There's pretty much 4 big ways to find motivated sellers. One is guerrilla marketing strategies. That's your bandit signs. That's your mailers, your door knocking. Guerrilla marketing works. It always works because it's a sweat equity form of marketing, which means less people are willing to do it. Whenever you have something that less people are willing to do, you can always find some degree where you can produce there. You can get work done there because there's not too many fish in that pond. But when you get into some of the easier strategies, the texting, even the direct mail, you have to then do different things to stand out. You need a secret sauce. You need a certain way of saying things, a certain way of pitching, an edge. We're not like the rest. Or you need to be more direct. Hey, we'll get you to offer right on the phone, no fluff, no nonsense, and have an ability to calculate accurate offers sight unseen. Like, you need some type of edge when you're doing some of these marketing strategies that pretty much everybody has access to. Guerrilla marketing, everybody can do it, but nobody wants to do it. Direct mail, a lot of people are doing that. I'll keep direct mail as texting. That's kind of a form of direct mail, blast texting, sending out mailers, voicemail drops. All of that stuff is very direct. And a lot of people got into this in like between 2020 and 2022. If you go into any wholesalers course, that's all they were teaching. Oh, this is the new wave. Everybody's doing it. And then everybody started doing it. And now it doesn't work. Social media is another way. Creating your motivated seller ad. So you might have that on Facebook, Instagram, Google pay-per-click. Setting up those online platforms and then targeting people based upon keywords. They type in foreclosure, boom, your ad starts hitting them. They start researching refinance, HELOC, boom, you start hitting them. They start researching home renovation project, your ad pops up in front of them. That can be very direct, and you're creating leads out of thin air. So these aren't leads that people can see and touch. You're creating that lead now. So if you get into that space on social media, you have no competition and you're creating unique leads every time you get one. That's a good way to find motivated sellers, because now they're reaching out to you saying, yeah, I'm interested in the cash offer. I'm interested. You can have some type of ad in front of them that can uncover the interest, educate them on your process, why you're different. So now you have a warmer prospect to reach out to. And that's a good strategy. And then you have virtual assistants. You can train your virtual assistants to virtually drive for dollars, to do calls, which is kind of a guerrilla marketing strategy. Do like direct outbound calls to specific lists, generate different lists, skip trace people. You need, in my opinion, virtual assistants to put you in a money position. So you need to get a VA who can do a lot of the early screening. They can do those early phone calls that would burn you out. And you don't need to be burned out by the time it's money time. By the time you're on the phone with the motivated seller, you're trying to be sharp. You don't want to be super burnout because you've been cold calling all day. So hiring that virtual assistant and giving them the script, getting them trained in, can put you in a position where you're not burning out anymore and you become more profitable. So typically a good virtual assistant can 3 to 4x your return, in my opinion. And from what I've seen, they can 3 to 4x your return by allowing you to do more deals with less time. So there you have it, guys. That's how you find motivated sellers. That's how you deal with your lease purchase options and your seller financing. Those are the different forms of OPM. So we got through all of it on this session. If you guys have any other questions, drop them in the chat section. I'll bang out a couple of questions and then we'll put a bow on this thing. But the bottom line is you got to get started somewhere. Even if you're starting off with limited to no cash, get started. If you have a lot of cash, get started. If you have bad credit, get started. If you got good credit, definitely get started. Even if you got a buddy with money, you might want to take the hard money because your buddy wants 50% of the profits and you're not going to need that drama. Maybe. So like, I don't know. Because the last thing I'll say about partnerships is when you get into a partnership, it's like getting into a marriage. You need to take it that seriously. I know dudes who've been on this like the 9th year of their engagement, but they ready to be I want to get in a real estate partnership tomorrow. And I'm like, bro, haven't you been engaged to her for 9 years? Like, you're a commitment phobe, bro. I don't think you understand the commitment of this partnership and what you're getting into when you're buying houses with someone. This is like having kids with somebody. Each house is a kid. Each tenant is an extension of the family. They can call you. They're in your day-to-day life, right? So just stay locked in there. For my boots on the ground people, we're evaluating an opportunity to get some burst strategy level turnkey co-living rental properties. I'm going to be reaching out to you guys. You've been rocking with me. Some of you guys need deals. I'm going to be reaching out to you guys. This week, we're going in, we're vetting these properties. We're going to get them in front of you. I have another package behind this that could be really good for you guys as well. So I just want to get you guys laced up with deals, get you cash flowing. These properties are cash flow, anywhere from, if you Section 8 them, $570 a month. If you do co-living, it gets into the 800 plus range a month in cash flow, and these properties will appreciate. So I'll be reaching out to you guys with deals. If you're interested in the Boots on the Ground program, DM me Boots on the Ground, BOTG, whatever you want to send, and we'll talk about that. But definitely get tapped in sooner rather than later. We have the real estate ride along May 18th, Saturday. That's going to be epic. Definitely reach out, DM me about that. Get your ticket for that. The pre-ordered tickets, they're pretty much sold out. The bus is sold out. If I try to sell more, I got to get another bus, and I don't know that I want to get another bus. I might just waitlist everybody, right? So if you want to get in, definitely grab one of those last 2 tickets. I think we sent out a link to somebody, maybe 2 people today. So if they sign up, they'll be going. But reach out. I'll DM you that link. You can sign up. And then if you want to tap into our mentorship program, just reach out. Click the links in the description. You can book a call with me and my team. Either me or one of my people from my team will walk you through a presentation of how all the stuff works. A lot of people are like, Brian, how much does it cost to get into the program? How does everything work? We'll take you through a full PowerPoint presentation of how everything works, all the ins and outs of everything. And then we'll see if it's a good fit. If it ain't a good fit, it ain't a good fit. Like, I don't need to work with people who this isn't a good fit for. I do not have the time. I assure you guys, we don't have the time to work with everybody. We can't. I do want to help more of you, as many as possible, which is why we're doing 2 lives a week right now to give you guys more value. But definitely reach out if you're interested in any of that, in the Boots on the Ground program in particular. And we have deals that we're going to be unloading to Boots on the Ground members. So some people are just going to get in and get beat over the head with a deal in 2-3 days of being in the Boots on the Ground program. So we may set some records in terms of how fast some of our Boots on the Ground members have gotten deals. So reach out about that. Guys, hope this helps. Share this content with somebody who you want to get value. Spread the love. And I'll see you guys on the next one on Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do another one of these, and we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff. Let me see what we're talking about on this next session. Oh, we're going to be talking about co-living rentals and how to unlock massive amounts of cash flow with co-living rentals. So we're going to talk about how co-living works, the best properties for co-living. So what property should I attempt co-living with? How do I make this happen? And then we're going to talk about these turnkey rentals. I'm going to walk you through one of these turnkey deals. I'm carving these out for my people as we speak because I know these deals are great deals, right? We're walking through them. They're good deals. So I'm carving these out. But if you want to learn more about that opportunity, how you can get involved, how you can get your hands on one of these deals. And these deals, what we're trying to do is structure them in a way where you can buy them, put in a few pennies, like peanuts. Teresa, we're going to carve out one of these for you, and then refinance out of that. So like buy it, put in peanuts, refinance out of that, get your money back, and this cash flow. We're going to try to get right in and out of these deals. These might be the fastest deals some of you have ever seen when we execute on these. Shallon just asked, is it on the YouTube live? It's going to be on Instagram only. We're keeping this for the IG family only. And we're going to be doing this call with the What's a Mortgage fam and men. And I have a special surprise for men. Nobody tell him, but I'm saving a surprise for him that I should have ready to go at the ride along. So we're gonna grab some footage of that at the ride along. I have a surprise plan for men, but we're gonna be doing that live session with the What's a Mortgage family, the IG session. So definitely tap into that. And guys, stay locked in. Exciting year. There's more to come. I mean, look, I just fell asleep on a Friday night, woke up on a Saturday with 30 deals. And they're like, man, can you feed these to your people? I'm like, let's get it. Let's make it happen. So guys, hope that helps. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor. I'll see you guys on the next one.